I am your host, FatDag, and you're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello, welcome to episode 81 of Wise Advice, and I'll open the show today and let you know that I spent the day working out with Adam from the TransformationCoach.me podcast. If you remember, we did a podcast together, about a month or so ago. He invited me down to his facility down in Bloomington, Indiana, and what a fantastic facility that was. We had a blast. He put me through a workout that I hadn't been through in a while, and really taught me a lot of things. So, Adam, I want to thank you personally for that. It was just fun to be out there, fun to be kind of learning something new and just hanging out with you. You're a great dude, and looking at the wall that you had, he has a wall of all of his clients and how much weight they lost. And I just kind of stared at it for a little bit. And, I don't think I saw a number less than, I think it was like 35, 40 pounds lost. And so his entire clientele is doing fantastic work. So Adam, thanks for letting us spend the day with you today. It was an absolute blast. I'm a little afraid to go to bed tonight, because I don't know that I'm going to be able to wake up without being sore. It certainly doesn't fit into the attendance goal model. It kind of goes into the performance goal model, but I think I'll be okay. He'll still hit my attendance goals this week, but I'm going to have to take it easy because you really stepped it up for me. So thanks for that. Folks, real quick, if you're listening to the show on Stitcher or iHeartRadio or iTunes, depending on where you found it, you can always download the Wise Advice app. The cool thing about that is you can search for the show notes, and I put it on Connect the other night. Like if you're looking for the Simply Filling episode, you type in Simply Filling, and it shows you the 2 episodes that talk about Simply Filling, talk about you. If you look for complacency, type in that word. It'll find that. So the app is really powerful. Go to your app store, go to the Google Play store, and search for Wise Advice, and you'll find that. But Denise writes in real quick and says, "Hi, Mike. I've been wanting to write for a while, but I haven't been able to figure out how to put my thoughts on paper. We have interacted on the live feed and even a bit on Connect, where I am, where my username is SEWVELO. I'll try and keep the email brief, though brevity is not my strong point. I am an endurance athlete after all, but more on that in a moment. I'm an online-only member who started last May, and as of last November, I had lost 38 pounds and was killing it. Even with a move from Arizona back to California where I was born and raised, I stayed focused, and then the holidays hit. A 10-pound weight gain and a major loss of focus, I've spent the better part of the last 5 months trying to get back on track. And then I found your podcast. To say it's been a game changer is a major understatement. I listen to your podcast sometimes multiple times a day. I lost 7.5 pounds in a month after faithfully listening to your podcast. I found that if I go back and listen to one again, I pull a different piece of helpful information the second time around. I have many aha moments as I listen to each podcast. You mentioned in a recent podcast that the point of them was not to replace anything, but to supplement it. Well, I'm here to say the podcast has replaced some things for me. It has replaced my bad habits and my thoughts of doubt. It has replaced my late night snacking as I now plug in my headphones for some inspiration instead of empty calories. It has replaced my complacency with focus. So for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And now to my why. As I alluded to earlier, I am an endurance athlete. I've completed 5 marathons and an IronMan triathlon. Yes, an Ironman, the big one. While it has been 11 years since I did my Ironman, I was not a small girl when I did it. In fact, I remember the dread I had at registration when they required us to step on the scale in front of everyone. Imagine my horror when I stepped on the scale in front of a bunch of chiseled Ironman athletes to see that I weighed 170 pounds. Yes, I had trained just as many miles and hours as they had, but I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like a fraud. In fact, I dropped my head in shame today when friends brag to others about my Ironman finish. I feel like I don't deserve the accolades, as I'm now 50 pounds heavier than I was back then, and back then, I was overweight. Thinking back, I was a fathlete, before the body positivity movement made fit at any size a thing. I once had a coach tell me that my size was my identity, that I used it as a badge of honor. I may be fat, but I can run 26.2 miles. While that was hard to hear, he had a point, so here is my why. Actually, I have multiple whys. My first one is that I'm running the New York City Marathon in November, and I don't want to be 200 pounds. I'm currently 215, started at 252. I want to be closer to my Ironman weight so that I will feel like my outside more closely matches my inside. And my second why is to change my identity. I just want to be known as an endurance athlete, not a plus-size athlete, not a fathlete, just an athlete. And my third why is based on performance. I have spent my racing career chasing cutoffs and the dreaded sweep bus. My size has dictated that I am slow. I finished my Ironman with only 8 minutes to spare. I know from experience that speed comes with weight loss. As I have less mass to move, my mass will move with ease, and speed will certainly follow. People often ask how I was able to complete an Ironman 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, 26.2 mile run. I tell them that I broke it up into small pieces or boxes. If I thought about that distance in its entirety, it was too overwhelming. So I broke it up into little pieces or boxes in my mind, and as I went along, I opened another box until I got to the finish line. I think of my Weight Watcher journey much the same. If I thought about how I needed to lose over 100 pounds, it would be too overwhelming and it would defeat me. So I break my journey up into small boxes, and I take every day as a new chance to make progress towards my ultimate goal. I don't always want to go for a run, but I know these runs are the building blocks to the marathon. I don't want to weigh and measure my food, but I remind myself that these little things that lead to the big positive changes. And thanks to you and your podcast, I have the focus to make choices that will get me to where I want to be sooner rather than later. Sorry for such a long email. You are an endurance reader if you made it to the end. But thank you again for your service, not only to your country, but to your fellow Weight Watcher peeps. Just as you wish me good focus, I wish you the same. Rock on, sir, Denise. Denise, you are absolutely amazing. And it's pretty cool that as we do this podcast, you're actually listening in live on Facebook. So that's going to be kind of fun. But here I want you to know a couple different things. You absolutely are killing it. I have never even considered doing an Ironman, let alone train for one, let alone even attempted to complete it. So the fact that you even took the challenge to start it, and then you found the way to complete it, is absolutely incredible. It makes no difference at that point what the scale says. When you hopped on the scale at 170 in front of the chiseled Ironman athletes, I assure you that while you didn't like that, they were probably impressed. They were impressed that you had the ability to get there, get it done, and you were competing right along with them. And so that is where we celebrate. The body positivity movement is absolutely a thing. There is nothing wrong with that. And what I want you to understand when we talk about that is that while that is, it is a thing, right? It is a thing where we have to say, you know what, hey, I have to accept who I am at this size. And the beautiful thing about that is when you get to the point where you accept yourself, when you say, hey, this is who I am, and as your coach said to you, it's your badge of honor. You may be fat, but you can run 26.2 miles. Those are your coach's words. And so when you accept it in that way, you then have the ability and you have the desire to make a change. So if you live in denial, and if you say, if you don't accept it and you continue to deny it, then you don't have the courage to make a change. So here we are. We know what we want to do. You want to be under 200. And so you want to be under 200 before you hit the New York City Marathon. Again, another amazing accomplishment to even sign up for the New York City Marathon, let alone continue to train for it. You will absolutely get to do there. I understand exactly what you say, where you say your size is your identity. And when you go to change your physical appearance, your identity is going to change. My identity now is completely different than it was when I first started. I wouldn't change a thing about my journey, and I wouldn't change the fact that I was a large guy for a long period of time, because now at this size, I recognize the difference. I feel like an athlete. I understand that feeling now. I feel fit. And so I can now recognize those feelings, and it gives me a new identity. I was talking with Adam about that today. At this point in my journey, I've rarely mentioned that I lost a whole bunch of weight. When I meet people that I haven't met before, it doesn't come up in conversation. Now, I'll never forget it. I will never, ever forget that feeling of being 263 pounds, but it isn't part of my story at this point. What's part of my story is that I like to work out, that I like to eat better than I did before. I like wearing clothes that fit. So you can absolutely change your identity, because I changed mine, and so now you know it's possible. Now, a couple things that you said that we certainly know to be true. You're right. When your size starts getting smaller, it is certainly easier to move faster. Generally speaking, you can take a minute off of your 1 mile run time for every 10 pounds you lose, exerting the same amount of energy. So that should be a goal, right? If you want to take 2 or 3 minutes off your run, it's just a matter of a handful of pounds here and there, and you can get that done. So that continues to be your focus. That works on your how, but you have to figure out how to do this. Now, to sum up your email in the end of it, where you said you cut everything up into boxes, I absolutely love that mindset. I'm the same way. If you told me on day one that I was going to lose 91 pounds or needed to lose 91 pounds, I would not have even attempted the program. I was hoping when I started this journey to lose 20 or 30 pounds. I was hoping maybe if I could get to under 200, which would have been 63 pounds, that would be a dream. And, who knows if that's even possible. But it was instantly overwhelming to even think that was going to be something I would have to do, because quite frankly, I'd never been there. So I did the same thing that you did. I broke it up into smaller boxes. I broke it up into smaller things that I want to lose 5 pounds at a time. I want to lose 10 pounds at a time. And every 10 pounds I would celebrate. Now, when you go from mile to mile, when I ran my half marathon, I've never run a full marathon like you have, but when I run my half marathon, I'm running from sign to sign. I start on mile 1, and all I'm looking to do is find sign 2. And next thing I'm doing, looking for sign 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to sign 13, and then I see the finish line. So I don't even realize I ran 13 miles. I just kind of run 1 mile at a time, 13 times, and all of a sudden you get the finish line. So you did that, and that's how you broke up your plan. Now, relating that to the Weight Watcher plan, I do the same thing. I don't look at 34 points a day. I look at it, I have 12 for breakfast, 12 for dinner, and whatever I have left for 12 for lunch, whatever I have left for dinner. I go from meal to meal just like I went from sign to sign. I stay focused that way. And so I don't want to wake up and say I have 24 hours to figure out what I'm going to eat. I say, what am I going to have for breakfast? Let's just focus there, and keeping it in a plan. Let's keeping it in the mindset of say, you know what, let's just kind of make it to the next meal. And I go meal for meal, and get it done. So Denise, you are doing fantastic work. You're absolutely killing it. The stuff that you've done, only a handful of people on this planet can do. So keep up the amazing work that you're doing. Stay focused on your journey exactly like you're doing, and let us know when you complete this IronMan, when you complete the New York City Marathon. Your next Ironman is going to be amazing, and the New York City Marathon is going to be even more amazing, and we can't wait to cheer you on because I know you can get it done. So go change your identity and get it done, Denise. Thanks for your email, and good to see you tonight for sure. Next up, Michelle writes in and says, "Hi, FatDag. I just wanted to let you know how much your Connect post and now your podcast have helped me. I reached out to you once on Facebook post and you responded, well, how many points did you eat? I never replied. I couldn't. I had just binged for the millionth time, and I was so ashamed. I knew then that I needed to address my lifelong binge eating disorder before I could be successful. I'm happy to report that I sought the help of an eating disorders therapist in January, and it was the missing link in my weight loss journey. I've been binge-free and sugar-free since then. I know how, stop eating points when you're out of points, and I know my why, and I'm happy to report an 18-pound loss since then. Thanks for reaching out that day, Michelle. Michelle, this is validation for me. I spent a lot of time on many social media platforms answering whatever comes my way. I do it for exactly the reason that you reported. Many of us are on this journey. We don't know what the end result looks like. We don't know why we can't get this under control. But I can tell you, I am absolutely not an expert. I worked this journey successfully for me. And so I understand how my brain works. I understand how the plan works. And I understand the relationship between the two. And I was able to get it done. So my only attempt when we ever have whether we do Facebook Live, we do the podcast, or we connect on Facebook, my only intent is to share something with you so that you can go figure out your own journey and maybe find a tool or two that you can plug in, just like you heard when Denise said, where you can replace a lot of things by swapping out the tools. So by me reaching out that day, you reached out to me and I just responded. And my response generally, when you reach out to me and say, I'm struggling, I need some help, I get a lot of those emails, glad to get them. But my response is always going to be one of the few things. It's going to say, how many points did you eat? How many blue dots did you get? Did you track everything you ate? And 99% of the time, the answer is no, I don't know, and no, I didn't. And so that's where, when you're out of points, stop eating points comes in. But as you just said, it's not quite that simple. I am very glad to see that you reached out and got the help of a pro, of someone who absolutely is specialized in binge eating disorders, because that is certainly not me. So I'm glad that we had a quick communication where you were able to go find the help that you need and get it done. So again, I'm absolutely glad to help, but I clearly, I have, the limitations of, I only understand my brain. That's the only brain I can even begin to kind of dissect is mine. I understand the plan very well, but mirroring the two together is your responsibility. The fact that you now can report an 18-pound loss means you too are understanding that difference. And you too are understanding how to get it done. And so here we are. 18-pound loss is absolutely incredible. You don't lose 18 pounds on accident. If you've lost 18 pounds, it demonstrates that you now understand how the program works. You understand how it works with your own mindset. You've proven that you can get it done. If you've lost 18 pounds, you can lose 20. If you've lost 20, you can lose 25. If you've lost 25, you can lose 50. Provided that you have it to lose, then you can reach goal. So Michelle, congrats on reaching goal mentally. Now let's get the scale to catch up. Judy writes in and says, Dear Mike, you always say write in with comments or questions. I don't have a question, just a story to share. My situation is different than most trying to lose weight or who have lost weight. The most weight I've ever had to lose in my life was 25 pounds, and that was after having my babies. That was back in 1986 when I joined Weight Watchers and made Lifetime. Over that 31 years, I have gained 15 to 20 pounds several times. It wasn't until 3.5 years ago in 2013 that I decided that this time I was going to learn maintenance, attend every meeting until I got it. I am still attending my meetings faithfully, and I am getting it. Then, discovering Connect, I started to learn and grow even more. How my story is different is I've never had a super large amount of weight to lose. I never had a weight problem growing up. I don't post before pictures on Connect because I don't have any. When someone asks me how much I weigh, I'm almost embarrassed to say, but for me, being 15 to 20 pounds overweight was painful. In 1981, I became bulimic for 1 year. After my first baby, I decided that I would never go back to that behavior. I would either stay fat or I would learn to diet because that's what we did back then. I joined Weight Watchers. Being out of control was the issue. I used food to medicate myself. I never told anyone about becoming bulimic until recently. I was so ashamed and I was worried about what people would think of me, but not anymore. It's my story and it's part of who I am. If I'm telling it, it helps someone, then I will gladly share what happened to me and how I overcame it, and I'm still growing and learning. I may not have had a large amount of weight to lose, but I've had a lot to overcome. I'm thankful to Weight Watchers' approach of beyond the scale because it's so much more than a number on the scale, but a mindset and a behavior change. Thanks for listening. It's nice to be able to share and be real, Judy. Judy, I think, being a leader now, I see folks come in your exact scenario. And you're right. They somewhat, feel, I guess, a little embarrassed maybe to think that they only want to lose 25 pounds. And they don't think that maybe the plan isn't for them. And I got to tell you that it doesn't matter what the number of how many pounds you need to lose or want to lose is. The journey is the same for all of us. Then that's why we continue even more so to say beyond the scale, because it doesn't matter. And so the fact that you're able to lose 25 pounds, but then gain it back and then lose it, then gain it, that obviously, just as you indicated, that was the issue. So, sorry to hear, about your year of bulimia, but I'm very glad to see that you bounced out of that because as we know, that's certainly not a healthy lifestyle. You certainly can't sustain it. And it's certainly not going to be helpful for your children either. So I'm glad to see that you got that. And, being out of control absolutely was the issue. Using food to medicate yourself, absolutely the issue. So that is more of the issue than the actual number on the scale. And so you actually took control over that and you got it done. So for you, being 15 to 20 pounds was painful. I bet it was. For you, being 15 to 20 pounds overweight was the exact feeling I had at 91 pounds overweight. You're fortunate in the fact where you have the ability to recognize that pain at 15, 20 pounds. I didn't recognize it until I got, 90 pounds overweight. But you recognized it at 15, 20, which is great for you. But the pain is absolutely the same. Whether it's 15 pounds overweight, whether it's 90 pounds overweight, if you don't like it, then it doesn't matter what the number is. That's why I continue now to focus on a goal feeling rather than a goal weight. I truly don't care what the scale says. I get on it every day. If you follow me along at all, you'll know it goes to Facebook in the morning. It goes to Twitter automatically. It gets posted on my website. You can see a 30-day history on my website of every entry I've had for the last 30 days. I tracked the number because I'm curious, and I have the scale that automatically does it for me. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is hop on it. But I don't really care what the number says if the feeling that coincides with that number is how I feel today. Right now, I'm at a goal feeling. I feel better than I have in my entire life. I feel like an athlete. I feel like I'm fit. When I feel my muscles, I can feel the strength in them, and I won't trade that for the world at this point. So that is a goal feeling. And the fact that you are, whether you're 5 pounds overweight or 15 pounds overweight, if you don't like it and you're not at that goal feeling, then the pain is the same for every single one of us. So I really honestly appreciate you sharing your story of bulimia. That is probably one of those hidden topics that a lot of us don't share. Many of us, when we try and beat this program, we resort to whatever we think will do it. And that is a option that some employ, not a healthy option, but it's an option that some people resort to because that feeling of being 15, 20 pounds overweight and hating how you look and feel will drive you to do some crazy things. So I'm glad to see that you've survived that. I'm glad to see you moved on from that. You're absolutely doing amazing work. Keep up the great work and continue to keep in check. I would encourage you to post your story if you haven't on Connect using the hashtag bulimia or bulimic so that others who have that issue can search for that hashtag inside the Weight Watcher app Connect. And then they can, too, you guys connect and you can help each other out because that's what makes the community better when we certainly work together. So thank you for that. Shelly writes in and says, "Hi, Mike. I really appreciate your podcast, especially since I'm online only and I live 50 miles from the nearest meeting site. I joined Weight Watchers for the first time back in 1980s when you could only eat chicken and fish and 4 ounces of red meat per week. My husband, a farmer and a cattle rancher, thought Weight Watchers was a communist plot against the beef industry. I did lose weight, and I went from 162 to 149. Then I quit. I've rejoined several times since then, each time weighing more than the last, until I hit 218. I saw a person I hadn't seen since college, and the incredulous expression on his face when he saw me really hit home. I had gradually gained over 80 pounds in the 40 years since I'd last seen him. I joined online Weight Watchers since it was now available, and I lost 25 pounds. I looked and I felt so much better. I became complacent at 191. I stayed in that range for nearly a year. Then I started slowly creeping up again. I realized, that paying the monthly online fee doesn't make me lose weight if I'm not following the program. I am contemplating quitting. Then I decided at age 61 that I'd better do something, as it will not get any easier. As Oprah's commercial stated, if not now, when? I saw several other posts on Connect from people who had also fallen off the program or plateaued and could relate to what they were going through. So I'm back. I discovered your podcast about the same time, and you've been so helpful. You are my meeting. I had 12 straight days of blue dots, and I've lost a few pounds already. Your podcast also makes me think I should keep going to attain my goal weight of 159. I'm just worried that I'd just be happy when I got in the 170s, but you inspired me to go for it. I love to cook and bake. I can make some great cinnamon rolls and cookies, and unfortunately, that's how I show my love. I'm concentrating on other avenues and trying to think of other hobbies. Sorry for the long email. Thanks for all the time you put into helping us, Shelly. Shelly, so I think, when you talked about, joining the plan, losing weight, quitting, rejoining several times, and then each time you weighed in more than the last, that's exactly my journey. Every time I rejoined Weight Watchers, I joined at a higher weight than the previous time. It's the thing that I say all the time is that our why we join does not go away until you solve it. If you think you can do it on your own, if you haven't made it to your goal weight or your goal feeling, and you think you've got it, and you kind of drift back, and you don't solve the original reason that you went in, and you drift back up, almost always you will eventually rejoin because the why never went away. And when you rejoin, in my case and now in yours, you rejoin at a much higher weight. That more than anything fueled me this time. That was when I walked in this time and said, you know what? I am here. I will not miss an entire meeting for an entire year. I promise you that. And that's what I did. For an entire year, I hit a meeting every single week. I didn't care what the scale said. I worked the plan. When I was out of points, I stopped eating points. But I knew that if I didn't do that, I would eventually quit the program. My why would remind me to come back, and I would rejoin higher than 263, and I did not want that. For years, just like you, I paid to be an online-only member. I'd have to look through the books to figure it out, but I would venture to say there's 5 or 6 years of me paying for the program and never even opening the app. So it's just one of those things that you're right. You can pay all you want, but you actually have to work the plan to get it done. It doesn't get any easier. So you're absolutely right. At 61, now's the time. If not now, when? So I'm absolutely glad to help. I'm glad that you think that I am your meeting. I'm glad that you find this helpful. You absolutely are on the right path. You're doing amazing work. When you get to your goal weight, recognize and figure out if that is a goal feeling. If you are stepping on the scale and you are thinking in your head, I'm at goal, but I want to lose 5 more pounds. I'm at goal, but I really don't like what I look like. Then you're not really at goal. Get to your goal feeling. And the goal feeling is you hop on the scale and you say, you know what? I look good. I feel good. I don't want to lose any weight. And when you hop on that scale for the very last time in a weight loss mode, it's absolutely different. It's the greatest feeling in the world. You have the ability to get there, and let me know when you do. So Shelly, thank you for your email. Keep up the fantastic work. and write in. Let me know when you're done. Folks, I want to take one last second before we wrap up here and remind you about Operation FatDag. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, I have an opportunity to speak to the United States Army. There's going to be about 50 soldiers in an Army class who are all struggling with their PT test, which is exactly my scenario. They're at a point in their career where if they don't continue to pass their test, they will be separated. And as you just saw in Connect, for me, I've beaten that part of the journey. I now will have the ability to retire on my terms, and I want to make sure that these folks have that same opportunity. Operation FatDag, if you go to FatDag.com and you click on the Operation FatDag tab, you can listen to episode 54 where I talked about the last time I spoke to the Army folks. This time I believe there'll be some Air Force folks in there as well. But this room will be about 50 folks, and I always tell them about my journey. I tell them that what we did, and I want you to listen to episode 54 again if you hadn't, but what I do at the very end is I remind them that I believe in them. Because at this point in their journey, they don't believe in themselves, and I need them to understand that I am now showing them that it's possible. I'm introducing them to a community of people who've done what they're trying to do, and what I always want to do is I want to encourage them. And I need your help to do that. And so last time we did this, I asked for your help and I said, would you please take a moment, go get a card, something simple, and just write it out and offer words of encouragement to somebody who just needs to know that we believe in them. If you go to Operation FatDag, you'll see the address, send in a card. I will hand deliver your card to somebody in the Army or the Air Force now who needs to know we believe in them. And by us showing them that we believe in them, it gives them that hope. It gives them that encouragement. It wishes them good focus. And they have the ability to get it done. So thank you for getting that done. I would appreciate that for sure. And then we can all celebrate together because that's what this journey is all about. I want to know what it is you're celebrating. Let's go ahead and share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on Listen Now. Send in your celebrations, your comments, your questions. I'll work them into the show. If you want, you can email in your celebrations at onair@fatdag.com because I really want you to be proud of what you're doing. When you share it, the whole community changes. Well, that is going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus.